Secret menu. No one knows of this but their children, Allie, Thomas, and Kyler. Thomas, the eldest, goes off hunting for the delectable meat. Kyler helps his dad cook the meat, and Allie helps her mother serve it to their customers. "Why can't we tell them?" Kyler asked, cutting up a piece of tough meat in which he grunted as well. His father stopped his butchering to look at his son. "You know why, son? If they find out, we will be hung," Nicholas explained before going back to his work. It was still dark out, but nearly dawn. Everyone was waiting for Thomas to give them a new fresh meat. "Where is he?" Allie asked, looking up to her mother, who shrugged her shoulders. A knock came pounding on the door, and a cry for mercy. "Let me go! Let me go!" a woman cried out, struggling against Thomas's grasp, who would just continue to put pressure onto her wrist. "I would shut the hell up if I were you," he snapped quietly, making the frightened woman stiff and silent with fear. Then with a calm voice, "Excellent." The door opened and his family hugged him and kissed him. "Isn't she a beauty?" Nicholas asked, admiring the scared woman. Kyler walked up to her and licked her cheeks, savoring it. "She tastes so juicy, Dad," he exclaimed with a smirk, motioning for his dad to do the same, in which he did. "Oh, she does," he complimented them, turned to face his daughter. "Allie, you know what to do, boys. Hold her." With that command, the two brothers held down a screaming and struggling woman who tried to free herself and call for help. "I just love this part," Leona sighed, watching her daughter come back with a knife in her hand. With a smile so devilishly evil, Allie slit the throat of the woman first and then stabbed her in the heart, over and over until she was dead. The sun was approaching over the horizon, and the king's family acted like nothing had happened last night, but continued on with a smile as they served their early customer shepherd's pie for breakfast. A man who was new to the restaurant took his first bite of shepherd's pie and glowed. "Ma'am," he called out, waving his hands towards Leona, who walked towards him. "Yes?" she asked with a bright smile on her red lips. "I would like to know the name of this meat," he said, taking another bite. "The meat? Oh yes, it's a mystery. We don't like sharing our ingredients with the people. You know, we might steal it and we would run out of business," she exclaimed, but the man begged to differ. "I must disagree, ma'am. If someone were to do that, I continue to come here, for no one can stop you and your husband's cooking. Simply spectacular," he complimented, and Leona said a thank you before going inside the kitchen. Leona planted a kiss on her husband's cheek as she watches him cut up the remaining parts of the woman Thomas hunted and Allie killed. Such a pity they struggle so much. It would be much more painless and quick if they just hold still, he said, raising his knife to cut down a tough piece of flesh. Placing her hand around his broad shoulders and her head on one of his shoulders, she kissed his neck, in which he tensed in pleasure. "Honey, a man new asked what was in our pie. I told him the same thing we've always told our first-time guests," she explained, moving her hand to his stomach and rubbed it up and down, receiving moans from him. Finally, he couldn't take it anymore. He stopped his work, turned around and picked up his wife. He laid her on a clean table away from the danger of knives and stoves. He called out to his children to serve the customer until further notice. Leaning in, he kissed his wife's forehead first before going down all the way down to her toes, not missing a single spot on her body. Leona moaned in pleasure and told him he wanted more than just kisses and soft touches. Nicholas knew just what to do. He got up and went to grab a small knife from the drawer. Carefully, when he returned, Nicholas lightly cut his wife's body, then licks the blood away. Yes, she moans like this very much. Nicholas continued on until they decided to stop and go back to serve the customers. I am telling you, sir, we cannot tell you what the meat is. We just can't, Ellie explained just as her parents were coming out, as if nothing had happened earlier on. Once they were beside their daughter, Nicholas looked down at the man while his wife whispered into his ears. Oh, Nicholas replied in the statement his wife whispered in his ears. Well, sir, if you must know what the meat is, meet us back here tonight. Be sure no one follows you. Your curious customer had a mouthful, so all he could do was nod in reply. Wiping the grease off from each tables, Thomas asked how could his father file away their mystery meat. He has a plan, Leona said while sweeping the floor, shrugging their shoulders at each other. The three siblings went back to their work until dusk settled in. The night sky reigned over the daylight morning, and the family waited for the man to arrive. For what seemed forever, Nicholas was getting irritated. Where the hell is he? He growled, his hands forming into a fist. A knock came on the door and Ellie invited him in. Now tell me, what is the meat? He asked with a bored grin on his face. The father looked at his wife, then his children, before approaching the man slowly. Well, my good sir, we will tell you, Nicholas said, knocking him on his head with a wooden mallet. The man had been unconscious for a while. When he finally woke up, he was tied up head and foot and had a gag in his mouth to muffle his voice. The family came back with kitchen supplies. The man tied up now became nervous and frightened. He tried to escape and run for help, but to no avail. The knots were tied tight. So you wanted to know what our mystery meat was? Here it is, Nicholas said, his tone dangerously low as he took a side step for his daughter to come in. A knife was in his hand. She raised the knife over the scared man's face and stabbed his neck over again, then his chest until he was dead. The family decided to cook the man up and have him for their supper instead of putting him on the menu. You see, children, your father knows what he does, Leona said, taking a bite out of the man's kidney. They all smiled at each other as they feasted on the man who dared to know what the mystery meat